can be done? What if this process can be improved? What if a new service can be delivered in a different way? This what if question is the root of the process of disruption. Moreover, I'm a firm believer that not all disruptions are imported. We usually have a tendency to look to the West for best practices. But there are several examples of disruptions in India which are indigenous and which are very much in alignment with the way of doing business in India. And I'm going to capture some of them in my presentation today, briefly though. I also believe that the core of disruption is not IT, but as my previous speaker said, it is people. Purpose and profits are the twin objectives that people of this generation want to work for. And hence, human beings need to be the core of every disruption that corporations want to work towards. Because in the 5 M's of business, machine, methods, minutes, money, and materials, it is man or human resource which gives value to the other 5. So human beings of people need to be the core of every disruptive process or disruptive idea or disruptive industry structure that we want to venture into. These are 5 examples that I'll be quickly covering. Disruptive business models, where the industry structure was disrupted itself. IT industry is an example. A customer-focused disruptive model with the steel industry as an example. A value chain-focused model with the agriculture sector as an example. Disruption in product and service delivery with the energy and banking sectors as examples. And disruption in the stakeholder quality of life with the jewelry industry as an example. My first example of disruption at the industry structure level itself is an organization which has only 70,000 employees in Chennai. I'm talking about TCS. Very few people know TCS has been a pioneer in disrupting the way the IT industry worked. In the early 1970s, when the globalization of the Indian IT industry began, TCS had pioneered the on-site offshore model, which became an industry norm. Till then, with very limited access to technology and the codes being sent back and forth on tapes across the aircrafts and the shipping lines, the on-site offshore model redefined and disrupted the way IT was delivered way back in the 1970s. But it didn't end with that. So disruption is not a one-time change. It needs to be nurtured consistently. And as we see over the next 25 years, TCS has continuously disrupted the way the IT industry has changed. For example, from labor cost arbitrage, the focus moved to strategic and process imperatives like optimization and digitization of diverse business processes with a focus on quality and time to market advantages. When leading multinationals from USA and Europe moved to emerging economies in China and Eastern Europe, TCS established its base in those countries so that it could serve its clients better. After 9/11, when the visa problem accentuated in America, TCS ventured into what was called nearshoring. So you have these TCS centers in Latin America, in Uruguay for Latin America, or in Hungary for Europe, where the whole objective was to establish a center outside the zone where there are visa problems so that you can continuously cater to the requirements and also be sensitive to the cultural and national requirements of that particular market. And then they moved on to establish global delivery centers in India and China that provided highly efficient offshore services and deep technical expertise not available everywhere. So we see at every stage of their evolution over 25 years, there has been a distinct effort to disrupt the industry in order to stay ahead of the curve. An interesting example of disruption would be just 2 years back when they were bidding for a BPO center in Saudi Arabia, where only 13% of women are in the workforce. TCS ventured to have an all-women BPO, which was a disruption in that part of the world. And 2 years later, 85% of women working in that BPO center with 1,000 employees were Saudi Arabian women with their niqabs and kibayas, but working and being a part of the mainstream employment. Prime Minister Modi had visited that center and appreciated the disruption in the social ecosystem of Arabia by empowering women into the workforce. But it's not the disruption that we see on the surface. There is the kind of investment that goes on behind the scenes about how disruption or the consistent innovation can be implemented. So TCS, in my study, have implemented the triple horizon approach to innovation. About 60% of efforts go towards derivative innovation, which is continuous improvement over a 12-month period. 30% to platform innovation, which is focusing on next-gen platforms, which is about 1 to 2 years. And 10% of the time is invested in breakthrough innovation, which is disruption, which is a timeline of 2 years and above. Moreover, what disruption TCS brought about in the Indian economic system was that 50% of the million-plus students who give the IITG head to the IT industry. And at the turn of the last millennium, over 2 lakh IT experts from India were leading the global IT industry. So that's how disruption works at several levels within the corporate and socio-economic system. The next example is of a company that is almost a century old, but which went ahead to glamorize steel. Now imagine sitting with your spouse in an air-conditioned shop, sipping cola, and deciding what steel products to buy for your next house renovation. Or even better, look for customized solutions for your new house, which is going to be provided by the steel company. That's exactly what Tata Steel thought about. What if we can provide? And what began was glamorizing a very B2B kind of industry, which was steel. How did they do it? How did they disrupt the steel industry? The whole objective was focused on branding. In the pre-liberalization era, where demand was always more than supply, typically the customers had to wait for a month before they could get an appointment of the managers in the Kolkata office of Tata Steel. But post-liberalization, when multinationals started pouring in to the Indian markets and the competition dynamics and scenario changed totally, they realized that they need to focus not just on B2B, but B2C. And they focused on a threefold strategy to ensure that this is worked out. What was that? They decided that they will create significant differentiation in products and services. They decided to redesign the distribution network and provide superior value to end customers. How was this done? They decided to target 19,000 villages across India where the B2C customers for Tata Steel's products existed. They benchmarked against the supply chain of FMCG companies like Procter & Gamble and Hindustan Unilever. They invested almost 1% of the total revenue in brand building and became one of the first companies in the world where branded steel was available. And subsequently, all the Tata Steel brands achieved tremendous brand equity and tremendous recall value in the markets. Moreover, they changed what was till then the Aaj ka bhav, or today's price of steel, to a recommended consumer price, so that you are assured of the price when you go to a steel retail store of the Tata Steel chain and get the price not varying day-to-day basis. But there was a lot of inhibition from the middlemen who had managed the market for several decades. They used to buy in bulk from the mandis, and then they used to play on the requirements of the retail consumers. Complaints went all the way through Mr. Ratan Tata, but Tata Steel and Tata Sons decided that they are going to stick to what they have decided, and they engaged with the dealers, the supply chain, and told them that in the benefit of the supply chain and the retailers itself, it's important to focus on what the customers need and what is the way forward. And they decided that money wouldn't be made by selling more to one customer at incorrect prices or differentiated prices, but by selling more to the same customers by providing value. Undoubtedly, the results were fantastic. Sales rose from 4 to 40%, inventory requirements reduced by 75%, and return on capital employed increased from 11 to 32%. Moreover, within a decade of the launch of this approach, Tata Steel products commanded a premium of 10,000 rupees per ton compared to competitors. And they reached out to 30 lakh retail customers through 12,600 dealers and retailers. So you see, the entire behemoth of a steel industry was changed by disrupting the way steel is delivered. We go to the next one, which is, I think my time concluded faster than 20 minutes, but I'll just take 5 minutes to finish this off. The next part is value chain. The example here is MOPU, or More Pulses project, which was initiated by Rallis, which is another Tata company. Pulses, India is the largest producer, consumer, and importer of pulses. About 30% of our acreage, of the global acreage on pulses is in India. But we spend 24,000 crores a year to import pulses because we have among the poorest productivity levels. And hence, Rallis decided that it would be worthwhile. The countries like Australia and Canada, which manufacture pulses only to export to India. They don't consume a gram of pulse they produce. So Rallis decided that it would be worthwhile to invest in the farmers and partner with them to ensure that they focus on pulses, because the minimum support price for wheat and rice is far better than that of pulses. So how do you do that? You engage with them. They provided the right kind of counseling. They provided the right kind of inputs on nutrition, on the usage of water. They assured them that we'll buy the pulses from you in market plus rates. They ensured that they engage with the government to distribute the subsidies to the farmers in such a way that the subsidies actually reach the farmers. When the government-sponsored kits first reached these farmers, they were surprised because they didn't even know that such a thing as these subsidy kits actually exist. Then entered another partner, which was Tata Chemicals. And they said that we will assure the quantity of pulses that these farmers manufacture or grow will be purchased at a market plus price. They brought in a lot of technology. They ensured that the high quality products are only purchased and classified at various quality levels and are made available through their existing retail network, which was very popular for Tata Salt. And they launched what was called Tata iShakti and eventually Tata Sampann brand of pulses. But these were unpolished pulses. So how do you disrupt a consumer behavior of consuming those shiny pulses which are supposed to be very good? They brought in Sanjeev Kapoor, who is the celebrity chef, and said, unpolished pulses are good for you. The whole story of the MOPU project is what is now called the farm to fork model. Right from farming all the way till the product reaches your plate, how the entire value chain can be disrupted in such a way that it benefits the various stakeholders across this value chain is what this example captures. The impact has been phenomenal, and over 4 lakh farmers in the back end have benefited. The next example of disruption in product delivery, I'll cut this short and tell you about this in brief, is the Pure for Sure, the campaign which was launched by Bharat Petroleum. We are all in an era where we take quality and quantity for granted. But there was a time about 15, 18 years earlier where quality and quantity, both the things in the energy sector, was a big question mark. So Bharat Petroleum launched this whole campaign called Pure for Sure. How can the customers be ensured that the petrol that is being inserted into that car is of the assured quality and the quantity that is being guaranteed to them? The Pure for Sure, what began as a huge campaign, eventually went on to disruptions at various levels within the supply chain. The problem was that the dealers were delivering these products. So how can you seal all the loopholes where there can be contamination and problems? They brought in a German agency to monitor this. They got special locks and changed the locking system of the entire supply chain and the vehicles. They ensured that there is a certification after the product is delivered to the dealers. They ensured that there are audits, surprise audits, to ensure that the Pure for Sure quality is maintained. All of this was done to ensure that consistently the Pure for Sure promise is delivered. And the outcome was that over 15 years, from 98 outlets, Pure for Sure reached 5,700 outlets. Customers started preferring BPCL petrol because they were assured of the quality, and IOCL and HPCL, all three public sector companies, realized that they too need to indulge in this kind of a focus so that the customer is assured. Next example is of product delivery. This is of what we are so used to now, the IT-based banking services, which 20 years earlier were unimaginable. When HDFC, ICICI, and some of the new age banks came into the market, IT in the banking system was hardly known. And they brought in the IT-based banking in a very, very big way. But what changed and what has then been adopted by most public sector banks is what is the core banking solutions. And here I have given examples of how the traditional or branch banking system changed into what today is the core banking system, where the branches became sales and service outlets. The whole objective of the branches was to focus on the customer's requirements. Instead of getting banking experts, they got hospitality experts who acted as front end for the bank in the branches, and the superiors were banking experts. The entire focus was changed. The last example that I would like to cover here is in the jewelry industry. And this is where disruption changed the quality. Disruption changed the quality of life of this particular community, who are called the karigars. The karigars are those who are the makers of the jewelry pieces. But by and large, they used to lose their eyesight and their coordination between the eyes and the hands because of the poor ergonomic conditions in which they were working. Tanishq entered the scene for their karigars and ensured that the dingy and non-ergonomic manufacturing locations of these jewelry pieces are converted into state-of-the-art, air-conditioned, ergonomically sound karigar parks and centers where these karigars are uniformed, they have medical assurance, they have lodging and boarding facilities, and all the state-of-the-art things which their peers in the BPO and ITS sector gets. And they were transformed from Babus, as they were called, to Mr. Perfect. And they have proposed this as a disruptive model in the IT sector. I'd like to leave you with these two slides, which shows that in India and the world, the base of the pyramid, which accounted for over 4.2 billion people, is shifting from the base to the stomach of the pyramid. By 2035, over 50% of the population of the world and over 100 crore in India is going to belong to the middle class. Any disruption that we wish to undertake needs to cater to the requirements of this particular base, whether as customers, employees, supply chain partners, or the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shashank. I think it is time for the delegates to put in that slip your questions. We are having the last speaker. We want, of course, augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence is nothing but a set of sequential conditional probabilities evolving. I said we will be finishing by 10 minutes before. Now I am revising it to 5 minutes before. All right. So anyway, the best disruption I have seen in Tata is 2 years back, a thing that is always known for Parsis moved to a time bram. That is a disruption. With that, let me invite the third and final speaker before question, Mr. Vikram Mehra, Managing Director, Saregama. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I was asked to come out here and talk to you guys and share the success story of this product called Carvaan. Personally, I think it's a bit premature to call that product success. But what I'll do right now, use this session to prove two of the parameters I very strongly believe are necessary if you want to create disruption. And both these things have been discussed by the earlier speakers. One, disruption is more about anthropology than technology, and I'm just borrowing this phrase that I heard. It's more about understanding your customer than going blindly after technology. Second, the biggest reason I believe disruptions don't happen in our country that much is the fear of failure. Some of the way we were brought up right now in our middle class backgrounds, when we are young right now, our mothers ensure that we never go back and take any risk. The whole factor of not putting your finger right now on any of the electricity points or not going out there anywhere where you can have a fall. Somewhere parents think they're taking great care of their children. Personally, I believe they're doing big disharm to us as a society by taking away the risk propensity of all of us as kids. And if you don't have the risk propensity in you, honestly, disruption is a tricky part because high probability in whatever you do, you're going to face failure. And if you take failure to heart right now, hard luck. So what is this product Carvaan? Can I have the next slide, please? So what is this product Carvaan that we're talking about? Why are we what's so big deal for me to stand here? It's a product which has come out as a physical format product for delivering music in today's time and age. Everybody today is talking about right now how content gets delivered through the digital media. Spotify sitting in US, or a Ghana or a Jio Savan kind of a big guy sitting out there in India, everybody is delivering content through that digital means. That's a new big thing happening out there. My company, Saregama, is the erstwhile HMV. We own every song recorded in the history of India from 1903 till 80s. And after that, we have a large share. So we are the biggest music label of this country. From an MS Samma, the entire catalog belongs to us, to Lata Mangeshkar, Kishore Kumar, Asha Bhosle, Mukesh, Rafi, Jagjit Singh, you name it, we own it. All our music is there on Ghana and the Savans of the world. In spite of that, we launched this product, which seems counterintuitive and has seemed to have met some kind of success. I just want to take you guys through what we have done. What is this product all about right now? Primarily, this is a physical format product in which 5,000 songs are built in. The songs are preloaded in the physical format that you're getting, and you can listen to this music without any internet. Counterintuitive. Today's time and age, who says internet is not needed? This box is going out there and saying you don't need internet if you want to go back and listen to music. Can you play the video right now in that one? If you go down.